Hello and welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope you are fine. Today I would like to recommend a book to you, and it is called One Blade of Grass, a Zen Memoir, written by Henry Shukman. And I read you the text on the book because I couldn't express it better. One Blade of Grass tells the story of how meditation practice helped Henry Shukman to recover from depression, anxiety, and chronic eczema he had had since childhood, and to integrate a sudden spiritual awakening into his life. By turns humorous and moving, this beautifully written memoir demystifies Zen training, casting its profound insights in simple, lucid language, and takes the reader on a journey of their own into the hidden treasures of life that contemplative practice can reveal to any of us. It is like that. The book is really, really, heartwarming in a way, and the language is clear and precise, and it was really a joy. I mean, I've read it 2 times, and I discovered new things the second time, and I just would like to give you some examples, some excerpts that I would like to read, so that you get an idea and some glimpses. For example, here on page 102, I had lived with a dysregulated nervous system for so long that I hadn't considered the possibility that maybe the anxiety I ordinarily felt wasn't 100% necessary. This was, he describes his experience after his first meditation sessions. Another excerpt. He describes a meditation experience. The knee pain was still there. The sound of the wind was still there, but there was no one experiencing them. It was the strangest thing. There was no me. The very center of my being, the core of my life, vanished. I vanished. Where had I gone? What had happened to me? Where I used to be, there was just a broad openness. All things were happening just as before. Nothing had really changed, yet everything had changed because there was no me to whom everything was happening. It was as if a flash bulb had gone off in my skull, and that's what it suddenly illuminated. No me. The idea of me had been just that, an idea. Now it had burst like a bubble. The relief was indescribable. All the worrying, all the fretting, and all along there had been no one home. Life was a ship, and I had assumed it had a captain. But the ship had no captain. There was no one on board. Next excerpt. I had trouble getting my head around the maintenance model, that you might keep doing things for their own sake. I wanted the result, not the process. But what if the day when things counted was not far off, but here, now, and the closest we would get to a result was what we were seeing before us? This was the result. Perhaps in a sense there were no results. This whole universe was just doing what it did. It wasn't interested in results, only in process. I wanted a Dharma practice compatible with Western life. No saris, no ropes, shaved skulls, or chopsticks, no power vortex within an enclosed chamber. The insights that I'd stumbled upon had been indiscriminate, and thought there was surely more to Zen than random revelations, Nevertheless, the world Zen spoke of was the one they had revealed. I didn't see why it couldn't be practiced with Western manners and ways, without donning costumes, without entering an authoritarian force field. Nor did I believe there was anything intrinsically wrong with Western cultural trappings, or at least there was nothing necessarily better about Eastern ones. To adopt a culture not one's own was affectation or contrivance. At least it would have been for me. English poetry, for example, the best of it was as good as anything on earth. I didn't want the foreign culture. I just wanted the insight into existence, the one place Western culture dared not to go. This was what the koan was for, to bring about a radical shift in experience. The koan could offer access to an incredible new experience of the world, free of all calculation, all understanding. So this here he describes his experiences with koan practice. I was slowly beginning to understand that Zen wasn't just about meditative absorption and insight, nor was it something done alone. It was about activity, about how you lived and interacted, how you treated others. It wasn't enough to be enlightened, whatever that might mean. What counted was living it. The interactions with the teacher in the Dokusan room were a kind of paradigm for how you'd interact out in the world. They were a training in connecting more intimately and helpfully. Very important point, I find. Kensho, seeing your true nature. Kensho is the inverse of trauma. Here, unlike in trauma, the shock is of love and belonging, not pain and hurt. Gradually, it became clearer how this reality got obscured. It was through thinking and then believing the thoughts. It was a subtle process, but ubiquitous. But once this dark, radiant fact opened up, we had an alternative. It was possible to see the obscuring process in action and cherish it without being caught by it. It, too, was empty after all. And the last excerpt. Zen is the opposite of withdrawal from the world. It's a radical acceptance of life, the pain and suffering no less than the beauty of the dawn skies, of the sea in rain, the mountain dark under morning clouds, and the shopping list. Unless a path leads us back into the world, reincarnates us as it were, it's not a complete path. For Zen, this life, this world, is the very absolute. Making a cup of tea, fetching milk from the fridge, standing outside on the front step, watching the remains of a storm drift across the dawn sky, and hearing the drip drip of rainwater into a puddle from a roof are miracles. The miraculous in the end is the fact of anything existing at all. That's why the koans all speak the language of ordinary things: dogs, bridges, mountains, rivers. The concrete things of this world are their very fabric. Well, in the end, in the epilogue, there is a kind of summary. And maybe I read that. I didn't plan to read it, but I think I read that for you too. And then that's it. So is enlightenment real? I have no idea, but experiences wherein space and time disappear and all is revealed as one infinite consciousness, or as utterly without form and void, or where we ourselves vanish into empty sky, or where no trace of anything, including any witness, remains real. experiences that leave indelible beneficent changes in the psyche. Real. Becoming more filled with love, more concern for others. Real. Lasting positive character change, meaning less aversion and anger, less craving and clinging, more ease with the arising and passing of things as we live with less domination by self-centeredness. Real. A great book that is really worth reading. Real. Thanks for watching.